I'm going to give you some hoop options. I'm going to talk about setting up the back, and I'm also going to show you how I set it up in Design Shop when you're working on a Converse. So there are 4 different hoop options for you. Hopefully you own one of them if you have to do this job. So the first one is this 9 centimeter hoop, or your 3.5. You can definitely hoop it. It is a struggle, I'm not going to lie, but you just kind of come to a corner of a table and you line it up. You're just going to come to the corner of the table and you're just going to push down and get that hoop in there. It can definitely be done. So you can do the back and the side with the 9 centimeter. That's your least expensive option. The second option that I have for you is your Melco Red Clamp. Can certainly use this. I just saw a video the other day where they show you how to set this up on the Melco page. Make sure that you always keep this closed whenever your machine parts are moving. But all you're going to do is you're just going to open this up, and then you're going to get your backing. You're going to slip your backing in there. And then make sure when you're doing shoes that you're doing the outside. You don't want to get confused. You want to make sure you're doing the outside of the shoe. So you may want to mark it or something. This also helps if I come to the corner, and I'm just going to slip this shoe in. Now I have the shortest arms available for this red clamp, and I also have it on the 3 centimeter. So that's the smallest, and you can see that you can easily monogram the side of the shoe with that. I have to fix that backing. That didn't look too great. We want that backing to be nice and smooth. Okay, and then to do the back, smooth out my backing this time. That was not the greatest. And I'm going to put this in here. The reason I say straighten out your backing is because you want all of the area that you're working on to be the same. You don't want one part of the area that you're working on to be thicker than the other. So you want to make sure that it's nice and smooth. I apologize for not getting that right before I showed it to you. And there you go. That's how you would do the back with the red clamp. Now, this is an option that I don't really like, but maybe you own it and maybe it's what you're going to use. This is your fast frames. And what I did was I put a piece of sticky back on. I just don't like to use sticky back on my machine, but you certainly can. I'm going to pull this over really tight. Once that side's folded over, pull this one over really tight, and then pull the bottom and sticky that down. And so basically you're left with a sticky surface that's nice and taut. And then what you do is you slip your shoe right there, and then you kind of press it down. The reason I don't love this is because I don't have anything holding this shoe in place. I'm totally relying on the sticky. I think it could definitely work. You can do the side and you can also do the back. Just try to get that sticky down as much as possible. You can see that it does kind of stick to this shoe a good bit. See, I'm moving the shoe and it does kind of hold it down. So again, it's an option, just not my favorite. And what I did use to do the side and the date was I used this yellow clamp by Hooptech. So open it up again. Always make sure that lever is down when you have machine moving parts. I'll get my backing. And then I'm just going to slip this in. This opens up and then you just slip your shoe in. This particular hoop comes with all kinds of different windows. So this is one of the windows that I own. Get the shoe in just like that. And then there you go. It's all ready to go. And then to do the back, same thing. Now I'm also going to show you how to line this up because it's a little tricky. And if you don't get that right, then you will be a little off-centered. So I'm going to show you how to set that up after I show you how I get the back of this shoe into this yellow clamp. Got my backing all the way around. There's the thick rubber part on the bottom of this Converse, which makes your job a little bit tricky, but you can definitely get it done. So there we go. That is the back of the shoe. Now let's talk about lining it up. Okay, so from white stitch to white stitch, that's 1/2 inch. So I need to make sure that I'm sewing in that dead center so you don't have a whole lot of play there. So what I did was I dropped my needle when I did this one. I dropped my needle at 1/4 inch, which is dead center of this little area right there. Can't really trust the laser on this because the shoe is too thick. Anytime you have something that is thick and it sits higher than the sewing arm, the laser can throw you off a little bit. So I don't recommend you trust the laser on this one. I recommend that you drop the needle on this one because you have such a tiny margin that you have to get that date or whatever it is you're doing on the back of that shoe correctly. So if you don't know how to drop the needle, you're going to go to Tools, Maintenance, Head Timing, Bottom Center. That's going to drop the needle. Well, let's just make sure that needle drops in the dead center of that area that you're working in. If it doesn't, say okay, move it over a little bit, and then drop your needle again until you're sure 100% that that needle is in the dead center of that area. And then you're ready to go and it'll come out perfect as long as you've measured it out right. So let me show you how I set that up in Design Shop. Click on the screen, type in 9 and say enter. Now double click, that's going to open up your object properties. You can come here and say enter. Now say 20, and then I said enter, and then I said 25. Now I want to use a very small font because that's a very small area on the back of the shoe. So I'm going to come down to the micro fonts. I'm going to go down to micro condensed sans. And you can see that 0.3 is as small as they suggest that you go with this particular font. So I'm going to choose that font, and then right here where it says height, I'm going to say 0.30. Now I'm going to say okay. And there we go. So now I just need to put my dots in. So I'm going to come over here, click on A, click on a period. I'm going to say enter. And then again, I'm going to go to 0.30 of the micro condensed sans. If you know the font that you want, you can just start typing it in. All right. And so now what I need to do is just move that over here. And then I'm going to right click on it and duplicate it. And then I'm going to put one underneath the 20 like this. Now if you say center, you can see if you're lined up. So I can see this first period is just a little bit off, so I can slide it over so that it crosses that red line. Once it touches that red line, then it turns that light blue. If you saw that, that actually tells me that it's dead center. So my total is 0.36 in a width. And the area on the shoe is 1/2 inch, so I should be safe with that. That's actually what I did sew out. And then my height is 1.2. I'll show you what this looks like as actual size. So you see that's pretty tiny. But anyway, that's how I set up the date. All right, to set up the name, I just went to a new page, clicked here, typed in Miss, and then I say enter, double click. And then over here, I typed in Hardy. I went to brush script. Said okay. Now the space was too much for me right here. So I double clicked on that, went to spacing, and right here where it says line spacing, I just lowered this so that I could bring that closer together. You can lower that and keep saying apply until you're happy. Say apply. All right, and I don't like the way this dot kind of throws off everything, so I can actually come into here and I can say put a couple spaces before that M to kind of push that over a little bit, and that kind of makes me happier. That looks a little more centered to me. And I think I had to go down on the size. I think what I had to do was about 2 inches or so, something like that. And I left all the settings the way that Melco set them up, and it came out perfectly. So that's how I set up the name. So have fun with your Converse.